All right, finish the sentence. You ready?
Okay.
Tigers, Bears.
Vikings.
Oh, that's and then
Packers.
Lions.
Lions.
Oh my!
Is it George Takei back?
Yeah, he's in the background here.
Okay,
He just chills with us.
He's always hanging out. Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to 2M Football.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Matt. And it's time for the second place team. That's really weird to say, but the Detroit Lions. I had to throw that shot.
Yeah, believe it or not, the Lions were second place in the division with the 9-7 record.
Apparently, I missed that memo.
And that was good enough for a playoff spot.
They did.
Which is not too great. They got sort of pummeled by Seattle in the wild card round. And then they packed their bags and went home. Okay.
And that's a season recap.
That's pretty much, that's it. I mean, okay, now. Here's how a lot of the Lions games went this year. Not do much at all for about 3 quarters. Mm-hmm. And then Matthew Stafford would turn into the Pro Bowl quarterback that we all know he can be. And then they would win. 8 out of their 9 wins came on fourth quarter comebacks.
That's amazing, actually.
You could argue that with most quarterbacks, this would have been, I'm doing math right now, a 5-11 team if he only made half of those fourth quarter comebacks. So I give Matthew Stafford a lot of credit for.
Yeah, try not to say Matt Ryan, even though you said it 4 times before we started.
See, every time I say Matt instead of Matthew, Ryan just automatically follows it. So I need to keep saying Matthew, even though it takes an extra whatever. Okay, so let's just get into it. The offense averaged 21.6 points per game, which was 20th in the league. 339 yards per game, which was 21st. 257 pass yards, which was 11th. But just 82 rush yards per game, which was 30th. So starting with the passing game and Matt Stafford, he completed 65% of his passes for 4,300 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. Early in his career, Stafford was really plagued by turnovers and inaccuracy, but in the last few years, he's really turned that around. He has 3 straight seasons completing 60% or more of his passes, with 13 or fewer interceptions, and 10 this year was a career low. The turnovers, that's still a little more than you like. We just talked about Rodgers only had 7 despite throwing a lot more passes, but not everybody can be. No, it's not. It's almost not fair to make that comparison. But
I'd say 10 or less turnovers or interceptions is a quarterback's benchmark.
Mm-hmm. And he has a healthy touchdown to interception ratio with the 24 touchdowns.
Yeah, it's cured of bronchitis.
You can't, so even though the turnovers are, I don't know what that is, so I'm just going to move past it. The production is undeniable, whatever you want to say about the turnovers. He has more than 4,000 passing yards in every full season he's played. So he always puts up a lot of yards, and that's a good way to score points.
Usually.
So Stafford looks pretty good. At running back, though, they've got some problems. Amir Abdullah was a second-round pick back in 2015, and everyone had pretty high expectations for him. He did lead the Lions' backfield his rookie season with 143 rushes, almost 600 yards, that's a 4.2 average, and a pair of touchdowns. And he was off to a great start again in 2016 before a foot injury in Week 2 ended up leading to surgery and him being placed on the injured reserve list, from which he did not return. Mm-hmm. So he has looked good when he's on the field, and he'll be back next year, which is a good sign. We've got Theo Riddick next, who actually just had surgery on both his wrists, apparently, which sounds like it'd be a bad thing, but we'll see.
Like, that's gotta suck, too. You imagine having both your wrists in casts or something?
Yeah, how's he going to get around? How's he going to live for the next couple months? He'll be fine, though, by the time the season starts. And he has really excelled as the pass-catching running back in Detroit. But last year, he had to do more running than he's used to. He set a career high in carries due to Abdullah's injury. They cut Joyce Bell, and there just weren't many other guys around. He rushed 92 times for 350 yards, which is a 3.9 average, and 1 touchdown. And he still caught 53 balls for 370 yards and another 5 touchdowns. So still way more productive as a receiver. The other guys they've got there are Zach Zenner and Dwayne Washington. They're both just average pounders.
I may be horribly wrong in this, but I think I have a fun fact about Zach Zenner. I think he's the only football player to have the initial ZZ. Top.
Yeah, that's where my mind went, but that could be very true. We'll have to do some research on that because that would be a fun fact. Well, it's fun regardless of if it's true or not. Okay, so moving on to wide receiver.
He's always in the bottom of the alphabetical order list.
Yeah. At wide receiver, we got the number 1 guy, Golden Tate, who, as a Packer fan...
Did he look great like Brake?
I'll forever be a little bitter against Golden Tate for what's known as the Fail Mary play a few years ago, back when he was with Seattle. I like him more as a member of the Lions, funnily enough, even though they're a direct division rival of the Packers. He's been really good for them in the couple of years he's been there, but this past season he got off to a surprisingly slow start, partially because of the addition of Marvin Jones, which we'll get to in a second, but he ended up posting his 3rd straight 90-catch season, and he ended with 91 catches, 1,077 yards, and 4 touchdowns. So just about as productive as usual for Tate, and I see no reason that won't continue next year. So Marvin Jones, as I just mentioned, was brought in last offseason from Cincinnati because of Calvin Johnson's retirement. Mm-hmm. That's another thing that feels like it's been way
like
longer.
10 years.
But
Megatron.
Megatron. It was just last year that he was retired. So they brought in Marvin Jones, who looked really great. He caught 55 passes, which is a little low, but they were for 930 yards. That's a 16.9 average per catch and 4 touchdowns. And he was really the big play threat on this offense. And he looked good in that role. The 3rd receiver, the slot guy, was Anquan Boldin, who's 36 years old.
God, that's a name I've heard before.
Yeah, a lot of times, man. He's 36, but he was 2nd on the team in catches with 67. And he led the team in touchdowns with 8. And Matt's got something.
So there are only, I'm sorry, I was researching the ZZ thing.
Yeah.
There's only 98 players in the NFL history that have had a last name beginning with Z. And from all the names on this list, he is the only one with the initial ZZ.
That's awesome.
I just wanted to throw that out there.
It's confirmed. He's the only.
At least off of this list, but God knows my research could be horribly wrong.
All right, but back to Golden. Oh gosh, back to Bolden. We already talked about Golden. All right, so Bolden. He's not going to outrun anyone at this point, but he still has this size and toughness that has made him a perfect slot and red zone target, which is backed up by his 8 touchdowns, which led the team.
Yar.
He's 36 years old and he's a free agent. There hasn't been any action yet, but I really think they should re-sign him because this is a really thin receiving core. After Tate and Jones,
there's nobody.
Pretty much. There's they signed Jared Abbrederis from the Packers, but he's never really played. He's not.
Well, the funny thing is, too, is I heard rumors, and of course they're rumors for a reason because there's no confirmation of them, but Ravens wouldn't mind getting Anquan Boldin back.
Oh, that would
what
be
Harbaugh was saying.
Yeah.
He goes, he's not going to rule out the possibility.
I'd support that, especially because they let Kamar Aiken go.
Oh, here we go back to Kamar Aiken, your boy.
The Colts signed him, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, back to the Lions, though. At this point, it's looking like maybe they won't, but I think they should re-sign him because he clearly has value. And I don't know who else they're going to throw in a wide receiver if not him. Because Jared Abbrederis is not a starter, in my opinion. So we'll see what they decide to do there. At tight end, we've got a guy named Eric Ebron, who was 3rd on the team with 61 catches. He had 700 yards and 1 touchdown. He's a guy who really struggles with drops, and he's not a good run blocker. So he wants to be a receiving tight end, and that's mainly what he is used for with the 60 catches that was 3rd on the team, but he drops way too many passes.
So he's trying to almost be something he's really not.
Yeah, but if he's not a pass catcher, I don't know what he is because he's not a good blocker.
Just a dude in a football uniform.
Just a dude in a football uniform, yes. Moving on to offensive line. They grabbed TJ Lane from the Packers, as we just mentioned on the Packers show, which is a great signing. He's 29 years old. They're paying him $28.5 million over 3 years, and that instantly upgrades this whole line. And that's going to help their running game, which really struggled. Let's see. They also signed at right tackle Ricky Wagner, 27 years old, from the Ravens, to a 5-year, $47.5 million deal.
Jesus Christ, there's a lot of money invested in this offensive line.
That's a great thing to see. They're making moves to improve what was a weakness last year. They're going to have issues, though, at left guard because they lost Larry Warford to New Orleans through free agency. And the next guy up is Graham Glasgow. And he was the biggest weak link even last year, and that his spot has not been addressed. So they badly need a left guard. And that's about all I got on the offense.
The defense for the Lions ranks sort of middle of the pack. 22.5 points per game, 13th overall, 354.8 yards, which was 18th. 248.4 passing yards, 19th, and I think that's supposed to be a 106.3 rushing yards per game, which is 18th. So very middle of the pack. And as Mike can see, my notes is ridiculously short because honestly, my biggest notice was because I watched them versus the Redskins, and I have to say this is the unluckiest defense I've ever watched, at least through the first half of the game. For instance, versus Washington, when they would rush 3, every time they ran against it, they would average 4.5 yards a game for every first down run when they rushed 3. So then your logic is, okay, we'll rush 4 and we'll shut that down.
Yeah.
They would rush 4 and the passes would average on first down 8 yards. So it's like, okay, well, none of this is working, so let's bring the entire defense after Matthew Stafford, especially against, why would they be playing against themselves? Just realized what I said.
I didn't even catch that.
So let's bring everybody against Kirk Cousins.
Yes,
and the blitz would average.
RG3 was the quarterback.
Mike, I have some bad news.
Sorry,
RG3 doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, sorry. I completely interrupted. So they brought everyone against Cousins.
And each game went for an average of 12 yards. So this defense at the beginning could not win. Like, no matter what they called, Washington just found a way to work with it. And I just consider, it's nothing against the defense because they were trying. They were showing different looks and everything. It's just, it seemed very unlucky.
Well, to me, that sounds like a play calling issue, which is not on the players themselves, obviously. But they're in the wrong. They're in the wrong set for what the offense is going to do. Which obviously it's a guessing game. But
it's like who can make the better guesses, really. At least through the first series. But this went on through the whole first half. The nice thing was, as the second half progressed, so about a third of the way through, so about 3 to 4 minutes into the third quarter, this defense made a switch and tightened up. And it looked good ending the games, which I think helped with Stafford leading those fourth quarter comebacks because they're not putting up more points. The thing I noticed, the biggest weak link, was that the tackles seemed to be broken easily. Like these guys would hit and try to tackle, and defenders would just slip through their grasp. So I think a lot of it is on technique, even more than play calling, because even if you call a bad defensive play, you still have to secure a tackle, and that's on the players. The coach isn't going to run out and tackle somebody. Last time I checked, that would be too many men on the field.
Unless you're Joey Porter.
Oh, Jesus. Is that a Steelers reference there?
Yeah. That was the playoff game last year, or 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
When they played the Bengals, that one that got really chippy at the end. Porter ran out of the field for no reason and almost got in a fight with Adam Jones on the Bengals.
That's awesome. So I think a lot of it has to be they have to sharpen up this technique. Play calling, I mean, the first half, the thing that I've always been told as I've studied coaching and what I've heard a lot of people say, and it sounds stupid, is you never want to score on your opening drive because you didn't learn anything from the defense. And this defense allowed a lot of first drive scores just because.
So you're saying that was by design?
No, I don't think you ever really want to give up points. But the nice thing is that it wasn't a game-long thing. This wasn't a defense that just completely, because they never, by the stats here, they weren't bottom. They never got blown out per se.
Right.
But
and that's not bad. That points per game, they were 13th in the league. That's top half.
And a lot of that was because the first half would always be against Detroit, and then it seems like the team as a whole woke up. Matt Stafford just started to get on fire.
Yeah.
and the defense tightened up, not allowing a lot of points from the opposite end. So it kind of worked itself out, but you never want to be playing from behind. As good as it is, apparently that's what this team does.
They thrive on it.
It's kind of weird to say that, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
Like the team that thrives on playing from behind when every other team is like, hell no. The player I picked was probably the most uninteresting player in the entire 32 teams I've done defensive analysis for, was John Bostic.
Oh, yeah.
First of all, his last productive season was in 2014 with Chicago.
The Bears, right? Yeah.
Last year, he had no stats, and I couldn't figure out why. I didn't see him on IR. It's like he just didn't put on a uniform and play. But the problem is with this defense, having its struggles, it's like he wasn't given a chance. And you don't know what a player's going to play if you don't give him a chance. So I don't think they should cut him, but I think they should sign him to a one-year deal, give him one shot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you didn't do anything last year, but we're giving you one shot to see if you can make a difference. And only give him $1.2 million. Not a lot, just something. Other than that,
he plays middle linebacker
yes.
inside? Okay.
Yeah. But, I mean, I can't say this defense is terrible because they put the Lions in a position to win. It just took them a while to get warmed up.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's on play calling or just the players took a while to be like, hey, whoa, we're playing a football game here.
Oh, that snap really got my attention. It's like, whoa.
But because they weren't bottom of the pack and they got the Lions at the playoffs.
Right.
It's just you never want to play from behind.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you have something?
I have a few things.
Oh,
They've made some interesting acquisitions already. Did you hear about the outside or the linebacker they signed?
is it a name I know?
It is. He's from your favorite team.
From the Falcons? Paul Worrell.
Yeah, they signed Paul Worrell. Surprisingly, just to a 1-year, $3 million deal, but I still think it's a great signing because he's
I
only.
stopped looking at free agency, to be completely honest, because it's like anything. Our first 5 shows we ever did mean nothing now.
Yeah, because once
All those players are
once
probably
free
dead.
agency actually started. Yeah, we got some of them right though. We should go back. Actually, no, that's probably a bad idea. Anyway, Worrell's only 26 years old.
I would beat Mike.
I know I got Kenny Stills.
I know I got Ryan Griffin, which was the first one I ever did.
I know the Steelers re-signed Jarvis Landry, right?
Wait.
Oh, wait, Landry Jones. Okay, so back to the Lions. So they signed Paul Worrell. The interesting thing is he played inside linebacker for Atlanta, but on the depth chart for the Lions, he's listed at outside linebacker.
That's a big difference. Paul Worrell is not a speed guy. He is a very physical guy.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's just an error, but they do have. So the Lions run a 4-3, so they only have one inside linebacker.
Correct.
And Tahir Whitehead was pretty good last year, so maybe they are going to have Worrell transition to outside because he is only 26, so maybe it wouldn't be that difficult for him.
Not too late.
But either way, it's a good signing. He'll help solidify this defense. Tackle, they also signed Akeem Spence from Tampa Bay.
Akeem Hicks?
No, Akeem Spence.
Oh.
He's only 25, and they signed him to a 3-year, $9 million deal, which is cool. And let's see, at the end, defensive end, I don't know what's going on.
DM!
Yeah. They already had Ziggy Ansah, who's been getting better every year, and they signed Cornelius Washington from the Bears for 2 years and about $6 million. Why are we whispering?
I don't know.
Okay, so that's the only other things I had on the defense. They've taken some steps to try to help solidify it.
With that, it's time for the TLDW.
Too long, didn't watch. We're talking Lions today.
Totally Lions, what duh?
What? Okay, the Lions were 9-7 last year, which was second in the NFC North and got them a wild card spot.
How do you continue to do this with me?
Where they lost against Seattle. Let's see. So out of their 9 wins, 8 of them were fourth quarter comebacks led by Matt Stafford, which is really impressive.
Which is amazing because if you think about it, if they lost those 8, they'd
They
they'd
could
have
have
the
been
same
a
record
team.
as the Cleveland Browns.
That is amazing. So Stafford was as good as ever, 65% completions, over 4,000 yards, which he's done in every full season he's played.
Very consistent.
24 touchdowns and just 10 interceptions. Running back, they got problems, though. Mainly just because of Amir Abdullah getting injured in week 2 last year. He missed the whole season. essentially. And Theo Riddick had to carry the ball a lot more as a result, and I think
that
he's not
caused him to hurt his hands.
both of them apparently.
It's
Because he's having surgery on both his wrists, but I think Riddick's not.
Inflategate.
You just let me get through this? Can you just be quiet for a minute? Theo Riddick, I think, is not suited to being a full-time runner. He's much more effective in the passing game. And so they should... And with getting Abdullah back, he should be able to take over that running back role, and Riddick will become the pass-catching back again. Wide receiver, they got Golden Tate, who is as good as he's always been with another 90-catch season, his third straight. They brought in Marvin Jones last offseason, and he had 930 yards and 4 touchdowns, and he was the big play threat. Anquan Bolden led the team in touchdowns, though, with 8. And even at age 36, he's still he can use his size and toughness to be a good slot receiver and a red zone target. He's a free agent, and I think they should re-sign him. Eric Ebron has some issues with drops, or he's the tight end. He has some issues with drops, and he's not a good run blocker, so he needs to improve on one of those things. Otherwise, give him some value. Offensive line, they signed TJ Lang, which is a great move. They also signed Ricky Wagner to solidify the right tackle spot, but they need help at left guard. That's going to be a big problem area for them with Graham Glasgow. If they don't address that, he's going to be a problem for them again. And the defense.
Defense overall wasn't complete trash. I mean, they did their job well. It just took them so long to get on a roll, and that's what caused these Lions to have to play from behind. But as you made the point, they seem to thrive in it. And
Yeah,
I mean,
weirdly.
I guess if it doesn't, if it works, don't fix it. But I mean,
I don't know if you can necessarily
I don't-
pencil in 8 fourth quarter comebacks.
yeah, I don't think that's something you want to be consistent year to year. I just think they were unlucky, and I don't know if it's a combination of play calling or players just not being able to secure their jobs, like tackle-wise. Because they tightened up over the first half. I just don't know why they're taking so long to get warmed up.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to see this defense come out of the gates a lot stronger.
Maybe do a couple more jumping jacks in the pregame warm-ups or something.
Is this your turn to make all the stupid comments?
All right, that's just one so far for me. You're up to like 10.
That's usually that's per like.
All right, just finish up.
Okay. I think they need to focus on technique because I saw a lot of easily broken tackles. Players that just would grab the guys and just not be able to secure the tackle. They just ran right through them, which is always a problem. John Bostic, no stats last year. The last productive season was in 2014. He needs a chance, though. I mean, you can't grade somebody if they haven't played. So I think just 1 year, $1.2 million, nothing major, just a prove-it year. But that might not be needed now with Paul Warlow and all them. So we'll see. We'll see. But I expect this defense to be right around where it is. I just would like to see a little bit of momentum at the beginning. Don't wait till the third quarter.
And I would like to see them on offense add another threat to the passing game.
I need another wide receiver.
If it's not Bolden, they need to get someone because this is a really thin wide receiving core.
And with that, we are done with Detroit. We're halfway through the last division.
So close.
Thank you guys for being a part of this. We hope you enjoyed it. So tell us what you think. You can send us an email saying like, hey, I think that the Detroits need to bring back Megatron. And we'd be like, probably agree with you.
Maybe this is the year for players coming out of retirement. Lynch,
Marshawn
potentially.
Lynch. What do you think of this defense? Do you think it was just unlucky, or do you really think it's severely flawed? Because the numbers don't say it's severely flawed. It just takes a while to get warmed up. And what about those 8 fourth quarter comebacks? Is that ridiculous or what?
Is that repeatable, you think?
Yeah, I wasn't banging on that. But, so yeah, send us an email. Check us out on Twitter.
At 2M_football.
And our next stop will be in the frozen, I almost said the frozen tundra. Jesus.
It's pretty cold up here,
the frozen Iceland of Minnesota.
See you then.